News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by the Duck Hunter. U.S. Senator Orrin Hatch is to be laid to rest this afternoon in the Newton ceremony following funeral services in Salt Lake City. The longest-serving Republican senator in history died April 23rd at age 88. Funeral services were scheduled to begin at 1 this afternoon in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Institute of Religion in Salt Lake City. Immediately after that, the Utah Highway Patrol was to escort the procession to the Newton ceremony, where the senator will be laid to rest following a military salute. The Orrin Hatch Foundation is coordinating the funeral with family members and predicts that the services will conclude around 2:30 p.m. And then the procession was to travel north along I-15 to Riverside, then exit the freeway and travel into Cache Valley along Valley View Highway, State Route 30. And then north along State Route 23 to Newton. Citizens have been invited to line the route. The procession is expected to arrive at the cemetery between now and 5 p.m. Senator Hatch was born on March 22, 1934 in Homestead Park, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. He attended BYU in 1952. To pay his way through college, he worked as a janitor during the school year and as a journeyman in the summers. When he was 19 years old, he went on a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Ohio and Indiana. When he returned, Hatch met Elaine Hansen, who is from Newton. The two were married in the Salt Lake City Temple and married for more than 60 years and were the parents of 6 children. The Hatches visited Newton on a number of occasions during his years as a prominent politician, and the couple has a joint burial plot at the Newton Cemetery. KVNU News Time is 4:07. KVNU weather, 30% chance of rain showers after midnight tonight. Mostly cloudy skies, mid-40s. Slight chance of rain showers Saturday morning. Then a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Cloudy around 60 tomorrow. Slight chance of rain showers Saturday night. Chance of rain and snow showers Sunday morning. Then, rain showers likely, slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. High temperature only in the lower 50s on Sunday. We've been to 69. It's 67 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Whole Tree Care. And visibility is still pretty good right now, so get your trees and shrubs trimmed with Whole Tree Care. Call 760-6587. Whole Tree Care has a certified arborist and best cleanup crew around.
Did you just build a home or remodel your current home? Well, if so, John at the Duck Hunter says you should have your heating ducts cleaned as soon as possible and change out to a high-quality furnace filter. The dust from construction, sawdust, drywall, and more is sitting in your ductwork. Your furnace filter's probably clogged. You'd be surprised what John has found in air ducts, toys, construction debris, and rodents. Let the Duck Hunter clean the ducts today. Call for a free consultation. The Duck Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duck Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duck Hunter.
KVNU News Time is 4:08. Congressional candidate for Utah District 1, Andrew Badger, was a guest on KVNU's For the People program this week. A month away from the primary election, he said the campaign is going well.
Look, I mean, things are going great. I mean, we just won the GOP state nominating convention with
That's right.
just short of 60%, which would have been make us outright. But I mean, we beat the incumbent by almost 20%. So I think there's a lot of momentum behind our campaign, and I think there's a lot of excitement for someone who's America First candidate who's fighting against the establishment, and I think that's what we're seeing across the country.
Among other accomplishments, Badger has a master's degree in diplomacy from the University of Oxford. He joked that his fiancée, who did a PhD in a STEM topic, teased him about that, saying it's not a real degree. But seriously, Badger said diplomacy is vital.
But, the diplomacy is so important because you need to understand how our adversaries think. You need to understand how the world works. And that there's just been no better testament to that fact than what's been going on in Russia and Ukraine. And it's a complete failure of diplomacy by the Biden administration. I think we're escalating the situation in a very dangerous manner. We're basically now in a proxy war with Russia, who's a nuclear-armed power, and Congress is not providing that oversight.
Badger's other Republican opponents heading into the primary election are incumbent Blake Moore and Tina Cannon. You can learn more about his campaign at badger2022.com. And Idaho residents who were deceived by misleading promises of free tax filing services by the company behind the TurboTax tax filing program will receive money following a settlement. Idaho Attorney General Lawrence Wasden announced Wednesday that Idaho will get $843,000 as part of the $141 million settlement signed by attorney generals in all 50 states. Under the terms of the settlement, Mountain View, California-based Intuit Incorporated will suspend TurboTax's free ad campaign and pay restitution to nearly 4.4 million taxpayers. In Idaho, just over 27,000 customers will automatically receive notices and a roughly $30 check by mail. KVNU News Time is 4:11. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
610 AM and 102.1 FM. News Talk KVNU.
With so much financial uncertainty, are you wondering if your retirement savings will last? The market's ups and downs can keep you guessing, especially if you're approaching retirement or considering it. If you have more questions than answers about what's next, your Edward Jones financial advisor can help you prepare for your journey. After all, retirement isn't the end of the trek, it's a new beginning. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Edward Jones office. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Finding comfort outdoors by upgrading your landscape is now easy and possible with the creative touch of Canyon Landscaping. Designed planting beds, landscape lighting, and paver patio upgrades will let you easily relax, entertain, and enjoy your home. Elegantly designed, professionally installed, on a budget, on time, guaranteed. Discover more at canyonlandscaping.com. Then call to schedule your free consultation. Call 752-3838 or go to canyonlandscaping.com. Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Friday, May 6th. I'm Jason Williams. Thank you for tuning in today. Bill Walter here in the studio as well. For the People movie show coming up at 5 o'clock. Kind of a slow news day, Utah political headline-wise, but plenty of local news and other news outside of politics we can talk about, and we'll do kind of a grab bag this hour of some of the stories that didn't make it onto the show this week, with a busy week full of candidates. Also, dominating a lot of both radio and television coverage today in the afternoon was the funeral for former United States Senator Orrin Hatch. He had retired and passed away. Announcement made by his family at the end of April. He was the services in general ranged from a lengthy thing that went on for a few days in Washington, D.C., then, of course, lying in state at the state capitol this week, and then the official funeral today. The funeral itself took place in Salt Lake City. Was scheduled to start at 1, didn't actually get underway until about 1:40. I don't know how everyone managed to absorb that into their broadcasts, but they did. And it was a lengthy funeral as well. There were 12 United States senators there, both former and current, a few Democrats, a few Republicans. Senate President Mitch McConnell and others, all friends of Orrin Hatch. President Biden was, of course, a good friend of Orrin Hatch. In fact, Orrin had spoken about that in the past when Biden was vice president in the Obama administration. But he was not able to make it out. He did speak at an event in D.C. and also put out a lengthy statement via video to memorialize Hatch and their friendship. There was also big confusion around all of this. So it went around, not really a rumor, I think it was just a misconception of how all this was going to play out, that this funeral was going to happen in Newton, here in Cache Valley. We knew that it wasn't going to, and if you read the Salt Lake Tribune and Deseret News stories carefully, the funeral that happened today was always scheduled for Salt Lake. There was a graveside planned in Newton that was not open to the public in general. As I understand it, a lot of folks were invited to that, the entire state legislature, in fact. But, and I'm sure hundreds of others, but it was not like the funeral event today, which was general public could attend in person and watch the stream. So, but yeah, some confusion over that led to a funny story that I think, I didn't know Orrin personally. I don't think that's a fair way to say it, but we had him here in the studio many times, and he was funny and had I think a really healthy sense of humor. So I think he would appreciate this. But it did lead to some confusion for UDOT. In fact, the Salt Lake Tribune reporting today that a UDOT, an agent at UDOT, agency within the UDOT agency, whose task it is to get ahead and raise red flags about potential traffic snafus that might pop up, caught wind of this and started, calling up the chain saying, have you ever seen the roads in Newton? We can't. They don't support motorcades. They don't. How are you going to get sitting United States senators with their security into this? Yeah. Anyway, so that was cleared up quickly, but kind of a funny story in the Salt Lake Tribune I've linked to on our Facebook page due to that, and it was like I say, it was a lengthy funeral that took place today. There were several things. So this will be available. By the way, a breaking update as we speak.
Yeah, apparently
going through the procession going through Ogden right now.
I don't know. I guess they were a little bit delayed apparently from leaving Salt Lake City, or maybe they
makes sense,
ran into traffic. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, they just according to Will texted me that apparently they have just passed milepost 342 arould Ogden.
Headed north to Newton.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're not coming all the way east to Logan.
Yeah, but might still be a good time to clear out Valley View Highway if you're out there. Well, I mean, I guess you got half an hour or so,
yeah.
but yeah, you might want to. There's going to be a lot of traffic.
They
this.
are, and there are people that are going to be lining if they're not there already. But
lining
the Highway 30, and then up to Highway 23
at the junction,
where
right?
we'll turn there and they'll go north to
into Newton.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. And if you've ever driven that stretch, it's beautiful, by the way. I mean, the roads are fine as far as their upkeep and maintenance, but they're not wide. But yeah, there was a lot of concern over that when an employee at UDOT caught wind of this and misread or misheard or was misinformed by the person supplying the news to them. And the misunderstanding, again, was that the actual funeral was going to take place in Newton. And there was panic on this. How do we organize this safely?
Get all these people.
What should we even say to the highway patrol? Get out there and good luck. Because you're talking security motorcades for sitting senators. You're talking, yeah. So, but yeah, that was most of that was for the funeral today in Salt Lake City, which is a little more prepped to handle that much traffic. But there's still going to be a lot of people coming through, as Bill just said, in just a few minutes, really, as they're headed north from Ogden as we speak, to the graveside services that will take place in Newton. So it was a big day and a lot of memorializing of Senator Hatch. Speaking of that, so the whole funeral, if you're inclined, is available as a video, a live stream. And I've linked to that on our Facebook page. But there was one little bit that kind of stood out to me. So I made a mental note as I heard. I'd listened to this as I was driving, or at least as much as I had time for today. And I caught a part of this that was the speech given by a really close personal friend of Senator Orrin Hatch, previous to both of them being in any position of power. Actually, it predates both Hatch's rise in the Senate, but also Scott Anderson's rise within the Zion Bank Corporation, where he now presides as CEO and president of Zion's Bank. And he spoke today a bit about his personal relationship with Senator Hatch, but then also told a story that, I don't know, just stuck with me. Give this little bit from Senator Hatch's funeral today a listen.
A truly great man, someone who facilitated progress on a grand and raised the lives of those who walk past us every day. Orrin Hatch is many things, but today I want to talk about him and his deep-seated faith in God and his belief that when he was in the service of his fellow men, he was serving his God. Senator Hatch often raised with me the idea of C.S. Lewis, that everyone who we meet has the potential to become a god or a devil. The senator would paraphrase Lewis and say, we have an obligation to do all we can to help each other reach our true potential. We have an obligation, he would say, to forgive and forget and help people rebuild their lives. This should drive all of us in all of our dealings with one another. Barry G.C. Black, the 62nd blessings that have allowed him to better the lives of his fellow men and women with humility and grace, unquote. I've been the recipient of his grace. I was working in Tokyo, Japan, when I first met Senator Hatch. He was recently elected, and he was on an official visit to Japan to meet with the Prime Minister. My friend, now my wife, had asked the Senator him across the ocean to give to someone he did not know. What humility and what graciousness. Because of Senator Hatch's heightened sensitivity to the promise of life, wealthy or downtrodden and tempest-tossed, he believed in the power of civility and the essential goodness of the American people. He was a man of strong principles who had a habit of making friends with everyone, including adversaries. He was the go-to.
That was, again, some audio from today's live stream of Senator Orrin Hatch's funeral in Salt Lake City. And that was Zion's Bank CEO and President Scott Anderson speaking. A close personal friend of Orrin's who, their friendship dates back to before Scott was a name anybody had heard and before Orrin was really that big of a deal in the Senate. And just a cool story there, again, of he casually mentioning to Orrin Hatch this desire for some of these shoes because they're overseas in Japan, and Orrin's making a trip there a little while later for official Senate business and brings a pair of the shoes with him. That was, I don't know, it was just a cool story. But we always had fun with him here in the studio. He is my favorite story to tell in general about this show and about Senator Hatch. Again, I told earlier this week, I won't repeat the whole thing, but Senator Hatch is the only person ever to get the best of me in an interview. There was a question I'd planned to ask him. He'd played a little loose with some facts and some labor data during the Obama years. He got caught. It was a big story. He had to correct himself in a later interview, and I wanted to ask him about that, and he didn't want me to ask him about that. And guess who won? I think Bill was here that day.
He filibustered you.
He but it didn't sound like filibustering. It sounded natural. And we had a fun conversation, but he stopped me successfully for an entire hour that he was here that day, stopped me from being able to ask that question. And it was almost artful to see. And when he left, I mentioned it, and he just kind of smiled. He was a pro. He knew what he was doing. But, yeah, he was fun. And Bill just reminded me of this, and Tom had told me this story before. I'd completely forgotten. Senator Hatch was actually the first guest on For the People.
I don't know if he was the first guest, but he was the first. He was on the first show.
Yeah,
I know. I don't know if they had talked to somebody else before him.
I think,
but
we'll have to catch up with Tom for accuracy. But the story I heard was he was the very first guest because they were there at the event where Senator Hatch was broadcasting live.
The Cash GOP
Lincoln dinner, I think, something like
so.
that. And then, or a big event in the summer, probably is what it was. But either way,
and that was the humble beginnings of For the People, because it started because we used to have full court press on this station,
summer filler,
and they would go on hiatus. Every after the Jazz run was done, or even if there sometimes there wasn't a Jazz run, but once the Jazz were finished,
very artfully worded,
full court press, and that aired in the 6 o'clock hour on KVNU, would go on hiatus. And so Tom Grover said, well, that's a great opportunity for me to start this idea of doing an hour-long talk show.
That's right.
And it started, I think that's the next Monday or something after the hiatus.
2006, right? 7.
I can't remember.
I know I started in 2008, and Tom and Ryan have been doing it for 2 years at that point. So, 16 years.
2006, I think.
Crazy to think about, but it was cool to hear Tom talk about that, and he had the same experience with Senator Hatch as well when he had a chance to interview him a couple of times as host. Hatch he knew what he was doing, and I don't mean to imply in any way he did any of this in a dishonest way. It was a sincere, authentic conversation you were always having with him. But if he didn't want you to ask a question, it was very difficult to get. The second time he came, I was more prepared, and he did not get the best of me. But, it was a pleasure to have him in the studio several times over the years, and he was always fun. And when you hear people say he had a really big sense of humor, that was true. And not a mean one either, not like a mean practical joke sense of humor. It was more of he liked a good joke, even if it was a tiny little bit PG-13, and good guy. So he'll be missed. And again, as Bill mentioned, the funeral procession from Salt Lake, as this funeral wrapped up about an hour ago, just making its way through Ogden, headed north, where they'll take a little bypass into Cache Valley.
Yeah, at this point they might be...
And then north into Newton.
They might be close to Brigham City, and they'll just continue on 15 until we get to Riverside.
That's right. Just seeing this, actually an announcement from the Utah Highway Patrol asking people please not to stop on roadways for this procession. Yeah, they were... I guess there's been a problem with that already.
Well, someone apparently was encouraging people to do that. I'm not sure where that came from, but then again, there's obviously a safety factor. They have to,
not a good idea.
You don't want to be unsafe.
Mm-mm. Yeah, message here from the Highway Patrol. I lost it. There we go. Message here from the Highway Patrol. Several reports of motorists stopped on the highway as the Orrin Hatch procession makes its way north. Please do not block roadways. Stop on the highways, even in emergency lanes.
Especially on the interstate highways.
Yeah. So, and I would recommend avoiding that in Newton because those burra pits out there, pretty deep. We'll be back right after this.
This Mother's Day, surprise Mom with a watch from S.C. Needham Jewelers. With the purchase of $149 or more, you'll receive a spring bouquet of flowers and dinner for two. Choose from a large selection of Tissot, Citizen, Seiko, Bearing, and Fossil watches. All watches come with our integrity price guarantee. Our watches are also backed with our in-store watch technicians with lifetime battery replacement. Remember, a watch for Mom comes with flowers and dinner for two. S.C. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
Vehicle accidents are stressful enough. You don't need someone showing up at the scene trying to pressure you into letting them tow away your vehicle. Call your roadside assistance provider or insurance company for towing company suggestions, or consult with police on the scene. And always have the price and terms in writing before you let them hook it up. If you suspect fraud, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB or visit www.nicb.org. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. This is a big headline just happening as we speak, not here in Utah even, caught my eye. Is out of Tennessee, but apparently last night, Tennessee Republican Governor Bill Lee officially refused to release records, made a statement saying he was officially refusing to release records. Apparently a privilege of the governor in Tennessee about his recent decision that's caught a lot of attention to abruptly halt the execution of a man last month. What caught everyone's attention is there was panic around this. The governor has cited attorney-client privilege, and what's been described as a deliberative process privilege in statute. I guess they're in Tennessee, meaning this is legal for the governor to do if even if it's a bit controversial. The not releasing the records part. The statement, though, that the governor put out granting a reprieve of this execution, Governor Lee actually sort of created this problem for himself there in Tennessee by saying in the statement that a last-minute bit of information had been provided, and this quote in the statement, the actual word oversight, was so egregious it would have been unethical, perhaps even illegal, to allow the execution to continue. This has obviously got everyone's attention over the last month, but the last night, the decision of the governor to not release the records met with immediate promises of lawsuits, and then an announcement today, just minutes ago, actually, the Tennessee legislature is actually considering a vote to force the governor to release the documents. I have no idea what's going on here, but I do know Tennessee has had some issues before when it comes to they use lethal injection execution method, and they've had some issues before. In fact, there was a previous issue where an execution was stayed and eventually led to the man's sentence of death by the state to be commuted by a judge to life in prison, saying that the man had basically been abused by the ineptitude of the state. That was the statement from the judge. After several planned execution dates were canceled last minute due to improper preparation of the lethal drugs that are injected during the execution. So I don't know what's the story behind this, but man, is it plastered everywhere. And the governor attracting more attention to this again by saying, no, I will not be releasing records about what actually went on here. Calls are out there for Tennessee's entire death penalty program to be paused, for no executions to take place until the public knows what exactly went on there. So here's the Utah tie on all this, though, the way this story came my way just minutes ago. It is actually a consideration in the state of Utah taking this kind of thing up to. So there was an effort last session, the session before that, to repeal the death penalty here in Utah as an option. It's usually opposed by prosecutors and county and district attorneys, and supported by victims' rights advocates, legal groups, and in this case, quite a few lawmakers actually here in Utah. The number of lawmakers that have agreed with this has grown every year. The idea of no longer using a death penalty here in Utah as part of the criminal system. So the tie on this is that several Utah lawmakers have cited this story and said, this could happen here in Utah. And there's now a call here in Utah for a full review, just a couple of hours ago, from a state senator here in Utah, calling for a full review of every execution method used in Utah and a full, quote, public reckoning with the way these execution methods are carried out, what oversight exists to make sure they're carried out correctly, and to answer some questions for the public. Like, one, this was interesting. I've never thought about this. Do they practice? That was one of the questions that state lawmaker had today. So, state senator here in Utah, again, calling for this review after the story in Tennessee, and it's revived, lit a new fire under this whole death penalty repeal. The sponsor of this year's iteration of the death penalty repeal bill, a conservative state senator, and last year it was a Republican in the House, I think, and the year before that it was a Republican state senator. I don't know if they're taking turns between chambers or what, but it's been 4 Republicans in a row sponsoring this bill. The sponsor of this year's failed death penalty repeal bill said, "This is exactly why I ran it and why I'll be running it again." Check it out. Lengthy statement from Utah lawmakers after this, what appears to be a very nearly botched execution in Tennessee that led to the governor staying the execution with minutes to go in what the governor in a statement called a technical oversight. But then with the governor refusing to release records on what exactly happened, it's left the public to speculate and gossip. And so who knows what is actually behind this, but the educated guess, is probably that Tennessee almost used an incorrect lethal injection cocktail, something that's happened in the state before and led to the man who they were intending to execute that evening actually lingering in a coma for 45 days. His family sued and won. No surprise there. 753-5868. We'll be back with more of For the People right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:37, and the news is brought to you by Whole Tree Care. U.S. Senator Orrin Hatch is to be laid to rest this afternoon in the Newton ceremony following funeral services that were held earlier this afternoon in Salt Lake City. The longest-serving Republican senator in history died April 23rd at age 88. Funeral services were scheduled to begin at 1 p.m. in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Institute of Religion in Salt Lake City. And immediately after that, Highway Patrol is escorting the procession to the Newton ceremony, where the senator will be laid to rest following a military salute. Now, upon way back when he returned from his mission in the Ohio and Indiana area, Hatch met Elaine Hansen, who is from Newton. The two were married in the Salt Lake Temple, and they were married for more than 60 years and were the parents of 6 children. The Hatches visited Newton on a number of occasions during his years as a prominent politician, and the couple has a joint burial plot at the Newton ceremony. Last update was that it passed Willard Bay at about 4:30, so maybe just passing to the north of Brigham City on I-15, and then they will turn east at the Riverside turnoff there in Box Elder County, and then head east into the Cache Valley, coming into the valley on Highway 30, and then turning left at Highway 23 and proceeding on towards Newton. The Utah Highway Patrol reporting that many cars on I-15 have pulled over because of the procession, and that has been somewhat of a safety issue, so they're advising people not to do that. But looks like it will arrive somewhere probably around 5 o'clock, 5:10 in the Newton area there at the Newton Cemetery. In other news, Governor Cox and U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack signed a renewed shared stewardship agreement on Thursday, reaffirming a mutual commitment to build relationships and coalitions needed to confront the wildfire crisis throughout the state of Utah. Cox said wildfire danger remains extremely high this year, and by working with federal government partners, the risks can be substantially reduced to lives and property, as well as keeping forests healthy. He was grateful for the continued collaboration and was confident the effort is having an impact on preventing catastrophic wildfires. Secretary Vilsack was visiting the state after speaking in the commencement ceremony at Utah State University. He said the new agreement strengthens the existing robust relationship between the state of Utah and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And the Cash Suicide Prevention Coalition holding a mental health awareness and suicide prevention walk in honor of May's Mental Health Awareness Month. The walk will begin at the Cache County Courthouse tomorrow and have two different starting times, one at 10 a.m. and one at 11 a.m. The walk is put on by the Cash Suicide Prevention Coalition in addition to other community sponsors. The work of the coalition is to increase protective factors for suicide, like increasing youth coping and social skills, increasing safe storage of firearms, and increasing community connectedness. KBNU News Time is 4:41.
Men, sometimes women drop subtle hints like,
"Hey, honey, the weather sure is nice today."
"Yeah, I think I'll go golfing with the fellas."
Ugh, whatever.
Sometimes we just need more direct language like,
"Honey, call Whole Tree Care to trim and clean up all those gnarly shrubs and dead, twisted branches. I want to enjoy the yard this summer, not dread it."
You know, I was thinking the same thing. Call Whole Tree Care, 760-6587. Ask about their radio discount. They also do tree and stump removal. 760-6587.
KBNU weather for tonight, increasing clouds and a 30% chance of rain showers after midnight, low in the mid-40s. Slight chance of rain showers Saturday morning, then a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Mostly cloudy, cooler, high around 60. West winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. Slight chance of rain showers Saturday night, and then a chance of rain and snow showers Sunday morning. Then rain showers likely and a slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Some snow accumulation is possible early on Sunday. High temperature is going to be in the lower 50s is all on Sunday. It's been to 72. It's 72 degrees right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. Nothing better than a good night's sleep and a comfy chair. U&I can help with both those things. For a better night's sleep, choose a therapeutic mattress or something from U&I's full lineup of Maloof. Always a better buy at U&I, 28 West, 100 North, downtown Logan. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
My name is Dr. Brandon Prevey, and I love being a dentist. I work with Drs. Curtis Taylor, Anthony Larson, and Paul Harris. When people ask where our office is, I actually have two answers. First, I spend part of the week at Logan Dental Associates, and then second, I spend the other part at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Both locations are a full-service dental office and can take care of everyone in the family. Call or go online and make your appointment with the offices most convenient for you. Logan Dental Associates in Logan or Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Monday on This Morning, America's First News on the Supreme Court draft decision leak, why pro-life supporters aren't exactly taking a victory lap. Hear what major groups are saying. Plus, could overseas travelers soon be able to ditch annoying COVID tests? Also behind the numbers released by the Labor Department, and more rules about making salaries of your coworkers public. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
One big story from this week we didn't get time for, which really, I probably should have set an hour of the show aside. I probably should have said to some of these candidates, I'm sorry, I know there's an election happening, but fry sauce is in the news, so you're going to have to take a rain check. This is, so, it depends on who you talk to. The Deseret News kind of getting a little, maybe deserved, maybe not, poke in the eye over this one and its headline because the one reason a lot of people consider the origin of fry sauce here in Utah a settled account, that it's something that they've followed, tracked back, and agreed on. Others say there's some disagreement on that. The story goes that someone, just an employee somewhere at an Arctic Circle in Utah, mixed some ketchup and some mayonnaise together, and fry sauce was born. It was extremely popular in the local community and then just kind of caught on. But there are others who disagree. So Arctic Circle as a corporation has officially laid claim to this. And again, by many people consider it a settled historical account of how fry sauce was first made as a public venture. And according to a statement sent by Arctic Circle, the Vice President of Marketing and Advertising, Joe Evans, when confronted by the Deseret News this week over the other histories that some people say are the actual history of the invention of fry sauce, Arctic Circle Vice President of Marketing and Advertising, Joe Evans, and founder Don Carlos Edwards, and his sons, Ralph and JR, all signed the response letter saying that that official account of it being invented by an Arctic Circle employee here in Utah and being just a community favorite for years before really catching on and becoming a part of the Arctic Circle brand was originally called Pink Sauce and was originally just mixing ketchup and mayonnaise. Later, there was some relish thrown in.
Yeah, a little bit of relish.
To fancy it up, I guess. And they recounted in this letter playing around with the recipe, trying out different ingredients, but always in the end coming back to fry sauce as ketchup and mayonnaise. And Evans, again, the vice president of marketing at Arctic Circle, told the Deseret News, "We lay claim to being the originator of fry sauce. No one's ever challenged it, but we would even defend this in court. We have the records." I don't know what those records might be, but he said it took other restaurants at the time years to develop it and embrace it, even though it's available most places now, except Oregon. I don't know if you ever experienced this, Bill. I'd been in Oregon for about 2 weeks when I first moved up there for school at a McDonald's. As I've said a million times, do you have fry sauce?
You're like,
and the guy in the window said,
what do you mean, ketchup?
The guy in the window said, what? And I thought, uh-oh, this is bad. But
well, then somebody was marketing it. Was it Kraft or
Heinz? Heinz actually made a squeeze bottle of
Mayo Chup.
Which
is the dumbest name.
That didn't go well. Because here's the thing about fry sauce. It's great with like fast food or a restaurant burger even. No one needs a bottle of it in their fridge. Nobody's going through fry. Unless you've got kids maybe. Nobody's going through a bottle of fry sauce before that goes bad in the fridge door. So, that wasn't a hit, and that I think has already been discontinued. I'm not sure. But so here's where the controversy comes in, though, Bill. And the Deseret News stirring this up again this week, even though, again, Arctic Circle says, no, the history is settled, and kind of tongue-in-cheek, but kind of seriously, they say, they would actually defend this in court. There'd be no reason to. I don't think there's a copyright or anything involved here at all. It's really just Arctic Circle has always been known as the place where fry sauce originated. The controversy comes in the form of the family behind a single stop drive-in style restaurant called Stan's. Stan's Drive-In, which doesn't exist anymore, but was on 9th East in Provo. And has since, this location doesn't exist anymore. It's relocated now to Salem, Utah. They tell a different story. On their website, on the Stan's Drive-In website, now located again in Salem, they say that when Stan opened in the early 1950s, that it was an Arctic Circle franchise run by a man named Bob Penny. And one evening in 1955, two employees, Ron Taylor and Max Penny, made fry sauce, liked it so much they began sharing it with their friends, and eventually there was a critical mass of demand, and they introduced it as a staple at the franchise site. Good fry sauce stuff. Stan says that he served it with every fry order, whether it was asked for or not, and his wife, Sarah, then bought the franchise and named it Stan's, took the Arctic Circle off of it. And their claim is that fry sauce for a long time after that existed only at Stan's. But then a while later, this is their story, an Arctic Circle sales rep asked Stan and Ron if he could take the fry sauce back to headquarters from Stan's, not Arctic Circle at this point, because the franchise had been bought and renamed there at this time in Provo, and if it could be distributed by Arctic Circle. Ron Taylor says as the years went by, Arctic Circle eventually just laid claim to it. There was no contract signed, but there was this expectation that if the overall franchise corporation decided to make fry sauce as invented, at least the claim is, by Ron Taylor, Max Penny's claim, that it was invented by their father, Bob Penny. That's their story, is that an Arctic Circle rep said, hey, we like this. We might consider buying this and making it a part of Arctic Circle. And then he took it back, took it to headquarters. Nobody heard a word. And then suddenly Arctic Circle was marketing fry sauce as part of their unique brand. So Ron Taylor, in an interview in Y Magazine, said as the years went by, they just laid claim to the fry sauce, but it really came from Stan's Drive-In, that was at that time located in Provo, Utah. And they do tell this story on their website. In fact, the Stan's Drive-In website, now in Salem, Utah, right at the top I'm looking at here, says the original birthplace of fry sauce. Apparently over the years, this has at times gotten heated, in fact, between this family and representatives of Arctic Circle. But the Penny family says they have no plans to pursue anything in court. They just wish people realized that the history of fry sauce is a little more complicated. Even though most people probably first experienced it through an Arctic Circle franchise, the actual history, the Penny family says, is a little more complex than that and does involve Stan's Drive-In, once in Provo, now in Salem. Bill on the line. Bill, your thoughts on all of this fry sauce battle?
Okay, I have nothing against Arctic Circle. But fry sauce is got to be about one of the, somewhere in the 20 worst food concoctions in the universe. What belongs on fries is ketchup, salt, maybe a little mustard, but not ketchup and mustard mixed. Separate,
no mayonnaise.
But fry sauce, it's, I don't know who invented it. I think what happened, somebody must have dropped a gallon of this and a gallon of that.
That's my theory. My theory. They were throwing a bunch of stuff away in a 5-gallon bucket.
How Reese's peanut butter cups was supposedly.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. Thank you for helping me express.
Bill, let me ask you this while we've got you here. Let me see how big of a purist you are on this. Do you object to, when I was a kid, I actually haven't done this for years, but now it suddenly sounds really good. But when I was a kid, I used to put ketchup and mustard in one of those little paper containers, stir it, and then dip my corn dog in it. I would actually mix the ketchup and mustard. Do you object to that?
Nope.
Not allowed.
You put ketchup. Actually, I use mustard on corn dogs. I don't use ketchup.
No ketchup.
And I try to use like horseradish mustard, Grey Poupon, or some kind of premium type mustard mix stuff. Not that. French's mustard. The guy couldn't have been a French chef.
No.
I don't know what that is.
It's mustard that can be made cheaply. That's what that is. Bill, it's always a pleasure to hear from you, and I appreciate you calling in. I'm glad to know there are fry sauce purists out there, because there are a lot of people, especially in other states, if you explain fry sauce to them, that will look at you like, ugh. And they deserve representation, too. So, Bill, appreciate you.
I was at a restaurant the other day, Wednesday, when I came home from my stress test down at U of U. My idea is I'm supposed to cause stress for people. People are not supposed to cause stress for me. But I got home rather late, and I ran over to local restaurant right near my house, and they gave me a thing of fry sauce, and I asked for ketchup, and they looked at me like I was the strangest individual in the world.
They assume you're not a native. Well, if you ever need to prove your native status, you just tell them to give us a call. We know you were born and raised, Bill. despite your fry sauce hate.
Well, I was born, but thankfully I got to travel all around the world before I came back here in '78, and I've been too poor to leave ever since. Have a good day.
Thank you, Bill, for the call. Always great to hear from you. Bill's always fun to have on the show here. And as you heard from Bill there, he's representing the voice of, and they're out there, the fry sauce haters. People that say this is, one friend of mine from Oregon, actually, Bill, came here. I said, okay, you got to try fry sauce, and said, I don't get it. It just tastes like watered down ketchup. So, okay, fair enough.
To each their own.
That's right. By the way, the amount of fry sauce distributed and consumed every day is absolutely... Arctic Circle guests consume about 9 million fry sauce 1.5-ounce cups annually. And they sell 18,240 16-ounce bottles of fry sauce annually. 45 gallons of fry sauce are poured out every day in the United States. It's crazy. And by poured out, I mean, eaten. We'll be back right after this.
The temperature's warmer, and here at Alpine Home Medical, we couldn't be happier to serve you as we mark our 25th anniversary this spring. Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent, and I want to thank you for being the best customers over the last 25 years. We couldn't have done it without you. If you've shopped with us before, thank you. If not, we want to make sure that we're your one-stop shop for all your home medical needs. You'll find the most selection and best quality products. Check out our power scooters for better freedom to help you move around and get you where you need to go easier. With compression socks, CPAP supplies, and incontinence products, our resupply team ships discreetly to your home, where you need it, when you need it. You get it all in unmarked boxes to protect your privacy. Alpine Home Medical has 10 locations across Utah and southern Idaho to serve you. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
My name is Gloria Nadal, and I chose Roof Rescue. They exceeded my expectations because they were able to follow through with the insurance company, establish a rapport, and ultimately the insurance company took responsibility and paid for my roof to be replaced. The products that they use were top-notch. My roof is beautiful. I would recommend them over and over again. My name is Gloria Nadal, and I encourage you to choose Roof Rescue.
Hi, this is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. At White Pine, we value compassion, integrity, and service. We are committed to serving you and treating your family as our family. We will be here when you need us most, to listen, to help, and to provide exactly what your circumstances require. At White Pine, we promise to dedicate our time and attention to you and your family. We invite you to come by and meet us. We're confident you'll feel a difference.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aids. Once again, you'll be able to hear a loved one's laughter and understand conversations. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Call 753-4327. That's 753-HEAR. Or visit cachehearing.com.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
If you want to read more about fry sauce, Deseret News expose on this, linked on our Facebook page. Meg Walter at the Deseret News went on what she called a search for truth. Said she wanted to get to the bottom of the rumors and disagreements over where fry sauce started. Was it Stan's Drive-In in Provo, or was it Arctic Circle, or did one of them steal